There you go, Rachel. One face cam.
Hi, everybody. I know we're a couple minutes early. My voice is kind of doing weird stuff today. So, and with good reason, we have smoke today. You can smell it in the air. And a husband was up on the ridge earlier this morning, and he says you can see the smoke curling in. So, yeah, it's pretty smoky here today. Isn't really affecting the visibility, but you can smell it. So, yeah, we've got smoke, wildfires in the area. So, we just carry on. So, today we're going to be painting the Gingerbread and Nutcracker. I really love this series. I have an obsession with Nutcrackers. We have probably a couple of hundred of them at this point, somewhere thereabouts. So, we're going to be doing this Nutcracker today. I just love the little gingerbread guys that we're attaching to this. One for the hat and then one for the garland. I just think it's a cute little addition. The one for next Saturday is the one with the stars. And I really love that one too. I think it's a great little design. What are you giggling about now? What?
Space Force.
Oh my God. Renee has nicknamed my Nutcrackers Space Force.
Nutcracker is traditionally a soldier.
Yes. And it's got stars, so yes, Space Force, okay.
No offense to any people serving in the Space Force.
No.
It's a legitimate branch.
It is a legitimate branch, just an unfortunate name.
Yeah.
It sounds like a 60s TV series.
Mind you, it's better than like Galactic Defenders or something like that.
It's true. But honestly, could you come up with a name that would be less than, honestly?
No, Space Force.
Space Force sounds like a really bad 1950s.
Star Trek. No, we can't use that one.
Nope. Hi, Corinna. Janet Roach. Hello, sweetie. Oh my goodness, everybody is here. We finally got rid of all that Canadian smoke. It was awful for most of the last week. Well, we've got it all now. And Wendy W. Hello from New Jersey. Hello from New Brunswick. And Janet Mills. Hi from OKC. Everybody is having a blast in OKC from what I can tell. And I am so disappointed that I'm not there. I'm watching everybody have a great time, especially from the dinner last night. The pictures I've seen, it looked like everybody had a fabulous time. I wish I had been there. And Carol Colbert. Hello, Carol. And Linda Giesbrick. How's everything in the peg? It's cool in the peg today. And Debbie Reeder. And Maggie Bolger. Hello, Maggie. Oh my goodness, everybody's in here today. We have some fabulous giveaways today. We have a beautiful set of long flats, Dynasty long flats. They're absolutely gorgeous brushes. The smallest one is a 1/2 inch. And we have 3 of them for you. They're fantastic. You're going to love them for a variety of reasons, and they are just an amazing brush. So we have 3 sets of those to give away. As we also have a little create bag, and we filled it up with some of my favorite things, and we have a really pretty stencil in there for you as well. Plus there is one of our zombie bunny pins and a few other goodies. So all you have to do to get in on the giveaways is simply like, share, hit all the buttons, join, subscribe, do all of those fun things, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. Hit the follow button. Join us in the chat, say hello, good morning, and let us know where you're from. And your name will go on the list for the giveaways. And at the end of today's live, we'll spin the wheel, and 3 of you will win one of those great giveaways. So, Janet Roach, pick me. What is this? Anna Fleury. I have to do a special thank you. Sending the pattern for the Nutcracker from last. Oh, you're welcome. I was happy to do that. Elaine Saith from Wisconsin. Jackie Wright from Michigan. Awesome. Merlene Dombrowski. Great name. Kim McCutcheon. Hello, Kim. Carolyn Spondenberg. Are you having a great time in OKC? And Linda. Yes. Mom is on Facebook today. Hi, Mary. Mwah. Love ya. And Bev, hello, my Bev. And Gail Woolsey, hello, sweetie. So, yeah, we're going to paint that little gingerbread nutcracker today. This is a fun one. Mainly because I really like the pattern in the coat. And it's a little different. So we're going to have a little bit of fun with that. And if you guys are ready to get started on our gingerbread and nutcrackers, so am I. I love it.
Cindy Braden. I just want the zombie bunny.
Oh, you want? So this is the little guy we're painting today. I just love these. Oh, Carol, she's never won before. It's my turn. And Judy Sandstad, good morning from Geneva, Illinois. And Conley Gieslin from Ohio. Wow, there's all kinds of you in here today. So this is the little guy we're painting today. We've got this little diagonal check or harlequin thing going on the sleeves and on the pant legs. And I utilized the same colors from the gingerbread into the coat. So this one is a very simple color palette. We're going to have a little bit of fun with this. These little gingers, or these little farts here, they're like 1.25 inches. They're really, really tiny, and they're super cute. So when you get this kit, you'll get the tag, you'll get 4 of these little guys, and plus you're going to get the stand for it so that it can stand up. And then of course there's going to be 3 of them, so we have a third one where the color palette is reversed, so you can put them in whatever order you want, but honestly I like the red one in the middle. So it's going to be a fun and easy project to do, and I think you're really going to love it because I had a blast doing these. So I did a little bit of prep work on mine. I just base coated the sleeves on this a little bit. Now, as to the design elements in this, Robert Pearson, please put my name in a good place on the wheel. They're all good places. You have rain. We're hoping we're getting rain tomorrow, thank goodness. But I've been looking forward to rain. I think we all have around here because the fire index is crazy. So the first color I'm going to use is a little bit of warm white. I did this all backwards. I'm going to use a little bit of warm white. And I'm only using these itty bitty stencils and this one right here. Oh, there goes Maze. Now, I'm only going to put a few snowflakes on this one. I gotta find a clean stencil brush here. Here we go. So the stencil brush that I'm using is this one. It is a Dynasty Stencil Pro. Goodness. And this one is a 1/2 inch. I love these. They're just so good. How many of these are in the series? There's 3. So I'm going to, just lightly, you don't need to have these perfectly opaque. I'm just going to add a few of these snowflakes onto my surface randomly. I just think these are fun. Now, of course, you could do the whole background, but I kind of have to do things a little quicker here. So I needed to get my nutcracker on first. So, and then I'm just going to fill up some of the empty space with the smaller stencils, with the smaller snowflakes. Keeping it simple. There's Karen Jones. Denise, Maze is getting ready to go for a training session with Renee. She gets a little excited, just a little bit. She does, because she knows that her training session comes with either a ball or a frisbee. There might be a fourth one. I don't know what it'll be, but it could be completely different from this. I don't know. There we go. So as I said, you can put as many of these on as you like, wherever you like. I'm not using a ton of paint. You'll see why in a minute. And I do love I like these little itty bitty snowflakes. I just think they're pretty. I'll just tuck a few in here and there. It gives the illusion that the surface is full, but it really isn't. No, I'm not. I didn't go to OKC this year. I've had too many health issues in the last year, so, and it's a difficult one for me to get to from here, and currently even more difficult. I cannot imagine traveling right now. We have a airline strike. We have postal issues. We have wildfires. It's just like, no. She's a greyhound, Denise. Greyhounds like their sleep, their beauty sleep. That's a greyhound. Okay, so I think that's enough snowflakes in there. So I'm going to grab my favorite tool. I'm going to grab one of my little sanding sponges. I love these. And I'm going to dry those snowflakes. Might be, I don't want to smear it. Okay, feel free to draw your name today. So I'm just going to give these snowflakes a light sanding, just to wear them down a little bit. There we go. I did a major cleanup in the studio yesterday. It was tragic. This studio was positively tragic. So I'm just taking a little bit of water on my cloth here just to wipe some of this dust off. There we go. Et voila. Now I'm going to put a shadow around the outside edge of this with a little bit of, oh my goodness, give that a shake. Elaine Ann, hi. I love nutcrackers. We love nutcrackers in this house. Oh, okay, there we go. Oh my goodness, thank you so much, Sue. The puppers and the kitties will be grateful. So I'm going around the outside edge of my surface with a float of Prussian blue. I like the darker blue at the outside edge. Need my other angle. There we go. There we are. We want a nice dark shadow all the way around the outside edge. Just like that. I love how this looks. I like that little shadow out there. I find it just gives a little bit of visual weight to things, a little drama. Let's see. She practices pouting in her crate. We can't even get Maze to get in her crate. She doesn't. Well, I shouldn't say that. She'll get in it, but she doesn't care for it. But Miss Maze pretty much has the run of the house, so she can sleep wherever she wants. And Maze's love language is biting, so because she's a Mal. The background color for this one is deep midnight blue. I think quite possibly my favorite blue. So it's just a nice little shadow back there. Just gives a little visual weight to this. Hi, Patrick. Patrick, are you still down south with your mother and father? I know you've been pampering you. You were posted about having escargot the other day, and it looked so good. I love escargot. Good grief. Come on. It's taking its time drying today. I think the humidity level is up. Oh, come on. Goodness. Taking forever. I have news for you. Any of us that own pets, we know how spoiled our critters are. And ours are no exception, believe you me. Okay. There we go. So I'm going to thin out a little bit of asphaltum. Just a little. See, I tidied up my studio. I can't find anything. Ah, Susan, I'm so glad you got your goodies. Your name was drawn a couple of weeks ago. So I'm going to use a little bit of thinned asphaltum, and we want to do this over the whole background. Heavily thinned, just a little bit of water or glaze in there. This is just going to tone everything. I love asphaltum. It is thinned, and you're putting it everywhere. So it's just a wash of color, really. I'm just avoiding going over the areas where I have the sleeves painted. Ordinarily, I would just put it over everything. There we go. So just a thin wash of asphaltum goes over the whole surface. All it does is just tone everything and brings everything together. So I'm going to dry this really well. It takes 30 minutes to say hey to everybody. Tell me about it. This little guy is such fun to paint. I want to do something larger with a nutcracker. I'm not sure what, but I want to do something larger. Nutcrackers are just scream traditional Christmas to me. That's why I wanted to stick to very traditional colors. So I'm going to grab my favorite chalk pencil, and I've base coated the sleeves and the pant legs with honey brown. And I'm going to make a series of diagonal stripes on the sleeves like so. Roughly, that was a little too narrow. You know, roughly 1/4 of an inch. Doesn't have to be perfect. Well, it could at least be neat. Let's see, I messed that one up too. There we go. So we have lines like this. Hi, Terry. Ooh, that's a good idea, Judy. Then you can arrange them in whatever order you like. So this is how I'm doing this. So I put those stripes on like that, and then I'm going to go in the opposite direction, like so that I have squares. So I'm essentially forming a checkerboard, but on the diagonal. There we go. I like a checkerboard pattern in any direction. It doesn't have to be just a traditional checkerboard. I thought that would look kind of meh, but I decided to do it on the diagonal. I really liked how it looked. Very Harlequin-ish. So the color that I'm using for the pants and the coat is trying to find my best worn out rigger brush. I'm using Country Red, and we're going to paint every other square with Country Red. So I'm going to start right here in the upper part of the sleeve, like that. And one coat of Country Red. They do not need to be perfect. By the time we are done, it will not matter. So as long as we get the rough shape, that's the biggest concern. So not particularly worried about perfection. Just like that. So we're just painting them in simply. Now, the fun part is that these sleeves don't actually have to match. So, as long as you get that check, and anybody that's looking that close to your piece to assess it, shouldn't be in your craft room. I don't know why it is, but every year around this time, I get on this Christmas binge. And I seem to obsess over a specific thing. And this year, it's Nutcrackers. Last year, it was gingerbread. Now it's Nutcrackers. I don't know. But it's so fun to put in these little checks. Again, they don't have to be perfect. It's far more interesting when they're kind of wonky. I love painting things for Christmas time. It's like the fall. I love doing things like that. I do them, but I do them in fits and starts. So this time of year, for some unknown reason, every bloody year, I get on this kick about painting Christmassy stuff, and it's always at around the same time. And then I get it out of my system until about end of November. And then I go through it again because, oh, I need something. And that's usually what spurs the whole thing. I need something for the holidays or what have you. Did a major cleanup in the studio yesterday. I needed to clear off the top of the cabinetry. Top of the cabinetry is where all of the finished pieces end up. So that they're nice and tidy and, they look really nice. But after a year, it no longer looks nifty and nice and tidy. It just looks like a cluttered mess. So, I like wonky. Wonky works. But I kid you not, I had to box up probably 70 finished pieces that were sitting on top of the cabinetry. It became such a modge podge of things. So I had to put them away, and we changed out artwork on the walls and things like that too, for the seasons. So we had a bit going on in here yesterday, and I needed to, because I can't function when it gets too messy in here. So I can't work well. So needless to say, it made for a very busy day. So by the time all was said and done, I had boxed up at least 60 or 70 finished pieces and put them away for the time being. Hung up some new artwork, rearranged some things, tidied up. So you might notice how bright it is in here is because I've taken everything off the shelf that was blocking the window. So now we have natural light in the studio, which is nice to have because I don't have it off it. So, oh, my stars and garters. What a mess. Oh. Yeah. So I'm going to take a little bit of warm white. My goodness, that paint is thick. I don't know why. There we go. We're going to do a little bit of warm white and base coat the shirt underneath that beard. Oh my goodness, Deb. The patterns for these, I got several messages. People have really had a hard time printing the line drawing on an 8.5 by 14. So the line drawing, you might notice if you order the pattern, there are 2 files to download. One is the line drawing on an 8.5 by 11. It is still the same size. I just took out the frame of the surface. That's all. So if you're having trouble or don't have the ability to print on 8.5 by 14, the line drawing for standard copy paper is part of your download. So there'll be 2 files for it, so don't forget to download both of them. It was actually easier than changing the pattern, so I put it up there. And I did the same thing for the for this one, and I'll do the same thing for the next one. Yeah, Karen. Well, and the worst part is that we would get started, we ended up making more mess than we cleaned up. We'd find all sorts of neat toys to play with. But yes, I had to clean it up yesterday because it was just beyond ridiculous. I had far too many finished pieces out. There's our white shirt. Oh. I would love a 4-foot nutcracker. I'd like a couple of them, actually. So now we have that fabulous shirt done, and we're going to paint the jacket country red. I love country red. I think it's my favorite. That's a very sweet thing to say, Lucinda. I think our tastes change on the regular anyway. I absolutely love anything with a vintage feel to it, so I tend to gravitate towards things that have that vibe to start with. And I try to choose my colors the same way. I love anything with a vintage vibe, anything rustic, country, old world, 1930s, 1940s. That era for me. Is anybody else a brush junkie? Isn't that a requirement? Oh. I think it is a occupational hazard, quite honestly. Oh, I think we're all brush junkies. Hi, Kathy. So I'm going to dry that. Kind of a gaudy suit, but I like it. I have hundreds of them too. I am a huge fan of anything from the 1930s, Depression era glass. I have pressed glass swung vases. I love that era. You know, World War II era. I have one of my favorite pieces. I have a Japanese tea set. It's actually a tea set made in occupied Japan. And I absolutely love it. I have the pot, the sugar bowls, like the whole set. I love it. I know. There's no such thing as too many brushes. You're absolutely correct. Okay, so we're almost there with the... I forgot to do the sleeves. Hello. There, I've got my second coat of red on. And honestly, I don't think it really needs much more than that. It's a little dark. It's being influenced a little bit by the blue underneath, but it's okay. How do I store my brushes? By size, by shape? I keep them handy. I have a bin for stencil brushes. I have jars. I don't keep my brushes in that much, that all that organized, to be perfectly honest. They're within reach. But the ones that I'm not using currently, I have stored in bins. Bins and in sleeves to protect them. Hi, Dorothy. I know, actually, my method for storing my brushes, I have them stored in bins, and of course in sleeves if they're brushes that are not in use. If they're brushes that are in use, they're in cutlery dispensers. I have them, you know. The only thing that I do is organize them according to size. That's about it. So all my smaller brushes are in one bin, bigger ones in another, and so on. That's about it. I really don't really don't do much more than that. So I'm going to paint I need to paint this cuff here. Oh my goodness. I just opened a brand new bottle of warm white and it's really thick. Thicker than I'm used to. Usually it's not quite like this. This actually held its shape when it came out of the bottle. Here we are. I had to thin it out to get it to move. Here we go. There we go. You know, the brushes that I'm currently using, I have in cute little glass jars. I just added a couple of drops of Jo Sonja to it. Jo Sonja Fast Dry. There we go. Okay. So, my shading color for all of these reds and browns is this. I'm using soft black. So a little bit of soft black on the palette. And I'm going to use a 1/8, or sorry, a 3/8 angled shader for this. Oops. And I'm going to pick up a small amount of soft black, and we're going to shade the right side of each arm. So shadow like so. Right side of each arm. That whole chisel edge on the surface. A little more water. Today is the day that I have the inability to get the right amount of water in my brush or the right amount of glaze. So there we go. So I've got a shadow on the right side of each arm. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the legs. So right side of each leg, like so. Right up to the shirt. And we're going to dry that. And then we're going to make a smaller float on the left side. So, slightly narrower float on the left side. Here we are. There we go. Okay. And the same thing to those legs. So the float that's on the right-hand side should be about 1/3 of the way across. The one that's on the other side is going to be about half that. So make it nice and narrow. And then we're going to dry that. And then we're going to put a shadow right across here under the epaulette on both arms. And right here at the top of the thigh, underneath the jacket. And we're going to put a little shadow right below, right at the knee, just where it joins the top of the boot. And do the same thing at the cuff. Voila. So we're going to dry that. And now we're going to give ourselves a nice little highlight. Going to pick up a small amount of warm white and blend it out. And you're going to come about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge of the sleeve. Nope, I've got too much paint in my brush. Here we go. Okay, now we're good. Nope, now I've got too little. Oh, no, there we go. So I'm coming down the sleeve just like that, about 1/8 of an inch from the edge of the sleeve. Same thing on the leg. And then we're going to use a liner and some thinned warm white. And we're going to put a nice little highlight. Now, I did sort of a skipped thing, coming down there on both sides. It's a light touch. I just found that the straight line just didn't look right. Like a full hard line just didn't look right. I wanted it a little softer, and so having that sort of broken line made such a difference. So now we've got those shiny arms and legs. I just love how that looks. Now we're going to take that 3/8 angle and that soft black, and we're going to shade the coat right here. Just like that, right to the belt. We're going to do that on both sides. And this is going to help give our nutcracker a barrel chest. It's going to make him look nicely rounded. And then once that's dry, you're going to come across the top of the belt just to where it joins the collar or that trim. And you're going to do the same thing underneath the belt as well. This little float just helps give the jacket that cinched look. Oops. A little too strong. There we go. And underneath that shoulder piece there, a little float. His jacket is coming together so nicely. Now we have a little bit of asphaltum, and we're going to float underneath the trim on the shirt, like so. And right side on the sleeve. Just like that. This little guy is not a difficult piece to paint. Hi, Myrnie. What was your question, dear? Where? Hi, Donna. I know Myrnie had a question, but I can't scroll back to see what it is. Thanks, Robin. Why do you shade before highlighting? Oh, that's an excellent question. I shade before highlighting for one reason in particular. When I go to put my highlight on, 9 times out of 10, my highlight or the lightest portion of my highlight is going to overlap a portion of the shading, and it gives a much softer, it has a tendency to soften those darker edges or those lap lines, let's call them that. Sometimes you get that halo effect when you're floating for a shadow and you get that little bit of a line. And if you go ahead and do your highlights after, you can mitigate those. You can soften them up a little bit when you're doing your highlights. I've always found that doing the highlight after the shading just works so much better. And the other thing is that, especially when you're highlighting with white, white only gets so white. So if you're doing your shading and you do your highlighting and the highlight isn't bright enough, you can always deepen the shadow to make it look brighter. That's why. So underneath his beard, I love it. And that just makes things look slick, as if they're varnished or polished. That little highlight in there, the float gives it that rounded effect, but then this gives that, that light impact point. That's what that is. So it gives you the illusion that it's a polished surface, as subtle as it is. So we have our shirt done. We have our coat done. Now comes the fun part. I'm going to grab, I need a small dry brush. Here it is. Well, it's not really a dry brush, it's a blender. I like a dry brush on things like this. So I want a little bit of light on the jacket. So it needs to be soft. And I like it when my dry brush slightly overlaps the shading. You're welcome, Ernie. Thank you, Robin. Appreciate that. I don't always see the question, so if somebody reiterates or points out that someone has a question, I'm happy to answer, but I sometimes miss. The chat flies by sometimes. So there's that little dry brush. Oh, I've got a couple of ideas for Halloween, but I'm really enjoying the Christmas thing. What dry brush is this? This is a cheapie that I just grabbed out of my bin. It's a little softer. It's just a domed blender. That's all it is. And it is a cheap one. We're talking like, I don't even know where it came from, to be honest. It was just there. And my other dome, my Dynasty dome blender. What's for dinner tonight? We are having pizza and chicken wings tonight. We had donaires last night, and we weren't sure how the donaires were going to be, so we ordered pizza too. Well, we ended up not eating the pizza, and we have to eat the pizza tonight. The softer edge, I agree. I really like the softer look of this. But this is a cheapie. This is not even a good one, but it did the trick. So, look at that. I love his coat. So I'm going to grab a little bit of, you can use baby duck or sunny day, whatever yellow you like. It did a nice job. I cannot speak for its for its longevity. It's not a very good brush, but it did the job. I just looked over at my Dynasty blender and it's full of paint. It didn't get cleaned. So I'm going to grab my rigger. And talking about the fires, we've got a lot of smoke here today, and you can smell it. It's really strong. But I don't know if it's coming from the fire in Nova Scotia or if it's coming from Miramichi or somewhere else. It's the fires have been terrible, and we've had several in our area too, but fortunately they got them out before they got out of control. So the Miramichi fire is the bad one for us here in New Brunswick. There's still one burning just north of the valley, and there's another one outside of Halifax. That's nasty. So I'm using a little bit of, this is baby duck, and I'm going to paint my epaulettes and shoulder piece. Now in the line drawing, the epaulette actually has tassels coming off of it. I decided in the end not to put the tassels in. Liz Menard, how close am I to St. John's? Well, we're several provinces away. St. John's, Newfoundland is, quite a hike for us. But yeah, there's a fire burning there too. And there's another fire in the northern part of Newfoundland burning. We have one in Miramichi, and we have a couple fires. We have one near Moncton too that's burning. That was out of control yesterday, but it seems they've gotten some of it under control today. That one is closer to us. The one that went out was put out. Oh, St. John, New Brunswick. We're about an hour away. Yeah, St. John is just down the highway a bit. So, baby duck to do the epaulettes. And we had a plane crash. One of the helicopters that's here fighting crashed. But the pilot was okay. Minor injuries from what I hear, but the helicopter went down in the lake. So, yeah, I know, there's always an idiot trying to start more. They just want to watch the world burn. But we have a burn ban, meaning nobody's allowed to have campfires or chimney or anything like that. You can't have a fire outside at all. We're on a water restriction here. They're asking people to conserve water because we have not had anywhere near enough rain. So it's been an interesting summer. So there we go. We've got a little bit of that yellow. I just love this yellow on the trim. I just think it's so pretty. And it works so well with that red. And it complements that honey brown. I got the cutest little Be Kind pin that we're sending out in the giveaways and in orders and whatnot. Just a gentle reminder. And that time of year is coming very quickly. Start our RAK soon. I've got my surfaces ordered. We're going to have some really cute ones. Like really cute ones. You guys are going to love them. Last year we did the pumpkins, the brightly colored pumpkins. This year I've got a new pumpkin. It's kind of funky and fun. So we'll be doing a fall RAK. And as always, those patterns are always free. So if you're doing church bazaars, if you're doing craft sales, whatnot, that you can download it and sell it, it's fine. Or sell the painted pieces, it's fine. You can paint them up and give them away. I'm fine with it. It's, we don't require anything other than, being kind. That's it, that's all. Okay, so I've got this. I love this baby duck. I just think this is such a gorgeous yellow. And it works so well. There we go. Look at that yellow. I just love this yellow. Robin, I'm with you. Fire scare me. When Renee was, I'm going to say like 2.5 years old. It was just before Dominic was born. The apartment building that we were living in was torched. Somebody had moved a bunch of packing boxes into the lobby of the building and opened all of the fire doors going up the 12 stories. And set them ablaze. And only the people on the first 3 floors were able to get out of the building safely before the fire got out of control. Completely out of control. And Renee and I and my husband were trapped on the balcony on the 8th floor. So we had to wait until they got the fire out and vented the building before we could get out. So we were stuck out on the balcony for a couple of hours, and then spent the next couple of days living with Karen Jones and her family. So we were fortunate that we had good friends that took us in until our place was cleared. Oh, it's terrifying. Yep. I was what, Karen? I think I was 8 months pregnant? I was 7 or 8 months pregnant at the time. It was not fun. There we go. We got that. I love that little burst of yellow on this guy. Oh, Kelly, yes, absolutely. You can go to thebrushguys.com. They are based in Southern California. And you can order my riggers and liners. I use the Dynasty Micron liners, and my lettering brush is a Dynasty Faux Squirrel rigger. They are both available on thebrushguys.com, and I even have a coupon code for you so you get a discount. You can use the coupon code Tracy M. The Brush Guys are awesome. If somebody could stick the link up for her, I'd appreciate it. So this is a color that I absolutely love, Orange Flame. We're going to make this baby duck look like gold, essentially. So I've got my little 3/8 angled shader, and we're going to pick up a little bit of that orange flame, that lovely orange flame. I love this color. And we're going to use it to shade the edges left and right. We're going to leave a little open space in the middle on all of this. So a little float there, little float there. I love the look of this. And then, oops, missed a spot right there. Look at that. I love, love, love this orange flame on this baby duck. It's just, oh, yummy. So up underneath that, underneath the beard, under the belt. It's just a simple little, like so. Same thing over here. We're going to walk that out a little. Just love this look, this orange flame on top of that baby duck. It just glows. And the same on the hat. We need that bright little pop of bright orange. Darkest value to the outside, and you can walk it in a little bit. You're going to leave a section in the middle. Oh my goodness. Donna, yes, they did. The person was charged and is, as far as I know, is still in prison. He was charged with multiple counts of attempted murder. Because he had intentionally blocked all of the fire doors so that even the fire escape, the stairwell, they had jammed the doors open so the smoke filled the building. Awesome. So this is what it looks like. All those little points of orange to shade this. So it helps get that glow, so to speak. And then we're going to use either a liner or a rigger. You can use either one. I'm going to use a liner for this. And going to use a little bit of warm white. And in the center, you're going to put in a couple of strokes of warm white. Just nice fine strokes. Just so that they overlap that orange just a little. Don't forget to get a little on that shoulder. I love this little bit in the middle here. And it just makes our coat, all of that gold, glow. So nice fine lines. You don't need a heavy stroke of it. It should be nice and fine. The idea is to make it look silky or satiny, I guess is the word, and gold. Here we go. I just love that that works the way it does. There we are. How fun is that? So look at that. He's really coming together quickly. So we're going to use a little bit of lamp black. We're going to base the hat and the boots. So I've got me some lamp black. Somebody asked me the other day about how I arrange my paint when I'm working. Let me show you. This sits right next to me in the top of one of my little carts, little wheelie carts, right next to where I'm painting all the time. And it contains the colors that I use most frequently. So, asphaltum, my warm white, a titanium white, my lush green, antique green, plantation pine, black green. The colors that I most commonly use, I keep them right here so that I always have those available. And then anything else that I add to that is, I can just go and get one out of the cabinet and use it. But the colors that I used most frequently, I keep in that little bin on my little cart next to me so that I have access to it. And if I'm really smart, which I am from time to time, I remember to put them back in the tray so that I don't have a ton of it cluttering up my painting table. Sometimes I remember to do that. Sometimes, not all the time. But I did this time. So we're going to use a little bit of lamp black to base coat our hat. And this is also your chance to clean up any little wobbles and bobbles and areas that are perhaps not as pretty as you would like them to be. And we're going to paint our hat. And we're also going to do the boots. Actually, it's a nail polish display. It is the perfect size. I got 2 of them off of Amazon. And they're absolutely perfect. I like it better than having that big spinny rack on my painting table because it's just, I can keep it handy. It's compact, but it holds everything that I use. How would I make that? Oh, we're going to make it look soft here in a minute. So I have boots and a belt. Let's do the belt. The belt has a buckle. We're also going to do that with orange and that baby duck, but we'll do the buckle after we do the belt. There we are. And then the boots. Ta-da! I have 2 wheelie carts. And both of them are right here. One is full of brushes and tools and paint, of course. I always keep my newest colors in the other cart. And then I'll just move them around as I need them. I just like to keep myself organized when it comes to my supplies. I have my painting cabinet, obviously, where I have a ton of paint. That's just the excess, the stuff that I will go to when I'm running out of a color in my usual paint rack. So here's our boots. Now I'm going to use a rigger to paint in that cuff at the top of the boot. Continue with the purging and the disinfecting, and hope everything goes well, Deb. Boys, oh boys, we are clipping right along today. I love this one. I think of the two, I like them both, but this one I think I'm just moderately obsessed with the little gingerbread, I think. So I'm going to dry this really well. We are doing a 3rd nutcracker next week. We are doing the stars one. And then after that, we're going to be doing a fall piece. I haven't quite finished the stars one yet. So I'm going to come back to my hat and my boots with my cheapy dome blender because mine is toast. So I'm going to use my little cheapie here, and on the far left I'm going to put a nice little dry brush like this, round it over for the tip of the boot, and round it over for the tip of the boot. And then a little vertical or horizontal one here for the rest of the boot. That cuff. There we go. Look at that. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the belt right here. Will there be a 4th nutcracker? There might be. There might be. So I went horizontally on the belt, vertically on the main part of the boot, horizontally on the cuff. Have a great week, Carrie. And we're going to start in the center of the hat. All the way to the top. And it is a slight curve. And that first dry brush is going to come about half. So it's going to cover about half and leave 1/4 on either side. Like that. And then we're going to go up the middle again, slightly smaller, so that we end up with a bright spot right in the middle of the hat, like that. So we have that bright spot in the center of the hat, just like that. Now I've got a little bit of country red. We've got a wee knob at the top here. How fun is he? A Mexican nutcracker would too. Fun. You're anxious for color. I have a Mexican nutcracker that is just too cute. So we're going to shade that little knobbin at the top with a float of soft black. Wherever we've had country red, we have had soft black. And then the highlight is going to be a little float of warm white, fairly weak. And then I'm going to put just a dot of warm white like that. Just to make him look a little slick and polished. I have seen that alligator nutcracker. I want one. I have the alligators that you made for me. I love it. Oh, a painter nutcracker. Wouldn't that be adorable? Oh, I need that. I think I need to do that. A painter nutcracker. Yes. A zombie nutcracker, definitely. You do know that this could go on forever, right? So we're going to give our little nutcracker a belt buckle. So essentially, I mean, it's in the line drawing. I'm not going to trace it in. I'll just freehand this little bugger in. I'm going to paint a little belt buckle. There we are. A hockey one? Oh yeah, that'd be cute. There we go. I'm going to take a little of that. I love that orange flame on top of that baby duck is just awesome. And so put a little orange on that belt buckle. And then at the bottom, I'm going to give it a little stroke of white. Oops, there we go. It's a nice little belt buckle. This, I think, for me is I love this. So I'm using the end of my brush. And I'm going to put 3 buttons on his coat, starting at about the halfway mark. 1, 2, 3. And then same place on the other side. 1, 2, and 3. Because he needs buttons on his coat. A jack-o'-lantern nutcracker. Oh, the rocking horse nutcracker. Oh, I have a soldier nutcracker, like a more modern version. Okay, so while those buttons are drying, we're going to start working on the face. Now, the color that I used for the face and the hands is cotton candy. I like this. I love the yellow trim with the orange, and it looks so sparkly. So I've got cotton candy, which is the color I use for the skin. And I've developed quite a collection of brushes here. There most likely will, Diane. We usually do, once we have a series of something, we usually offer a collection of them, so. Oh, a nutcracker for every season. Wouldn't that be awesome? Hi, Alina. So I'm going to grab my rigger, and I'm going to start this flesh tone by basing these hands. Like so. I like cotton candy for a flesh tone, not for a lifelike flesh tone, but for things like this, for dolls, for, toys, things of that nature. It's a great color for this. Okay. Go cotton candy for hands. And that leaves us with the face. Now, ordinarily, I usually start just by base coating the whole face. I've just found that works best instead of trying to work around all of those little details. I have the line drawing handy, so I can always put it back on. I detest tracing things on. Retracing things on, it's like my pet peeve. So I will generally freehand the details of the face when I'm doing this. But of course, when I'm painting here alone, I usually do things in a different order. It's different when you're teaching it. Okay. I love this color. Just so pretty. It's such a great tone for faces. And I'm going to brush this out so that it follows the shape of the face. It drives me nuts when I have brush marks going in 10 different directions. Is there some other pattern for the Nutcracker? Yes, I have 2 of them so far, and there's a 3rd coming for next week. I agree, Sue. I love nutcrackers. Okay, so I'm going to put one more coat on. I don't often use multiple coats of any color, but I think this face needs, I think it needs it. A second coat just to make it nice and fully opaque. His cheek is wonky. There we go. Okay. Okay. They're both on the website, Christian. We have two. There is one called the, this is Gingerbread and Nutcracker. The other one is Snowflakes and Nutcrackers. And the one for next week is called Stars and Nutcrackers. That one will be up tomorrow. He's too cute. So, gotta let that cool a little bit. Holy smokes. I have a number of little, I love this method. I really like using a stencil to do eyes a lot of the time. I find it just helps you keep them consistent. So I'm using a tiny little stencil brush and a little bit of lamp black, and I'm going to put in an eyeball. One eyeball. And we'll dry that one. My nutcrackers don't have a creepy look. That's a good thing, I think. And then we're going to do the other eyeball. A little bit of lamp black on the stencil brush. There we go. So we have two eyeballs. This way the eyes are exactly the same size. I try not to make them look creepy. Yeah, I think it's the teeth that make them look that way, but I don't think that this guy is creepy. I hope not, anyway. So, now that I've got the eyes on, I'm going to draw a simple triangle right here. Okay, that's not going to work. That doesn't want to work. I need a pencil for this. I'm going to put a very simple triangle like this for le nose. Le nez. So I've got nifty little nose. And then I have a thing about these nutcrackers. I love a good mustache. There we go. Yoop. Look at that. He's got a stash. Well, everybody needs a cute nutcracker. I love this little guy. So we need to shade this head. I'm going to use a little bit of asphaltum. I thin this right out. You don't want this full strength. And we're going to put a nice shadow along both sides of the head, like so. And dry it. And a nice shadow across the top underneath the hat. And we're going to put a shadow to the right side of the nose, like so. And then underneath, like that. Underneath that mustache. I want this face to have this nice rounded look. So, et voila. Nice shadow. Take care, Patrick. Have a good day. And I'm going to grab another. I've got another. Oh, look. Oh, yeah. I'll get another one of these cheapies. I'm going to use one of these cheapies again. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of country red. A little bit of country red. Make sure that that is nice and dry. And on the cheek, right here, we're going to dry brush a nice rosy cheek. Right where that mustache curls. Just like that. Doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. And then to the upper left of that rosy cheek, you're going to put a little white dot. Just like so. And then we're going to use some warm white to paint in our mustache. Keep all of the brush marks going in one direction. Et voila. How cute is he? And then in the mouth, those fabulous teeth, we're going to put a base coat of warm white for the teeth. Just like that. Leopold. I love that he's got personality already. So he's got teeth. And then while you're at it, paint in his hair. I kind of like this curly look. The fuzzy look is great too. I just wanted a curly look for this. But I also want to make sure that it's snug and clean up against the face so that we have a nice crisp look. So if you watch how I'm pulling this away, I'm pulling that stroke away from the face with, like Farrah Fawcett had those, feathered, the curls that feathered away from the face. That's what this guy is. He's got a Farrah Fawcett do. And we like that nice clean line. Look at that. And then, of course, he's got a beard. because he's a nutcracker. He has to have a beard. So I'm going to make sure you leave a little gap around the teeth. Just a little one. It doesn't have to be much. Just a thin, fine line. Just enough to keep the two elements separate. That's all. There we are. So I'm going to quickly put in a little coat, just one more coat of white on his mustache because I'm seeing far too much pink. There we go. His hair looks good. His beard looks okay. Make sure that we've got decent coverage. Doesn't have to be perfect, but should at least cover reasonably well. There we go. So I'm going to dry this really well. And we're going to give him some eyebrows. Because he needs an eyebrow. Right now he's just looking rather blank. So he needs an eyebrow. One of the things that I have noticed, especially when you look at traditional ones, the eyebrows always seem to start down here. So they look a little angry. You know, they have that narrow point down here and then they're big out here. So when I do them, I use a comma stroke so that he doesn't look upset. There we go. Now his nose needs a little highlight. So we're going to put a float of warm white. Oh, goodness. Hi, Nelda. So I'm going to put a float of warm white down the opposite side of the nose. So we've got a shadow on one side and a highlight on the other. It did soften his face. Angry with big teeth. So I'm going to dry this. So I've got a liner brush somewhere. I did have a liner brush somewhere. I don't know where it went. There it is. And I'm going to use a little bit of thinned lamp black. And we're going to give his eyes a little shape. So I like that little line that comes off, but I don't want it to go up or away. Oh my gosh. Here we go. So on those eyes, we're going to use a tiny little float of heavily thinned warm white on the left side of the eye, just like that. Little float, just come in slightly from the edge, and we're going to do it on the same side on both eyes. So you've got this nice soft highlight on there. And then to finish them off, I'm going to put a nice little dot right there on the upper left. So now we have nice friendly eyes, rosy cheeks, light eyebrows. He's coming along very nicely. I like him. So I'm going to dry this really well. And we're going to start shading and highlighting our beard and hair. Yep, the pattern is on the website, Beth. So a little bit of Bahama blue. I love shading Bahama blue, or shading whites with Bahama blue. So we're going to shade under the mouth, across the top, with a nice float of Bahama blue. So there's our beard. Just like that. We're going to do the same thing to the mustache. I'm going to float, oh goodness, I wiped out too much paint here. Here we go. We're going to float along the bottom of the mustache with a little bit of Bahama blue. And we're going to do the hair the same way. Nice little float of Bahama blue. And then we're going to dry that. He's Colonel Sanders. Put a chicken leg in his hand. Oh my God. That would be so funny. There we go. So our next kick for this, little float of asphaltum. I know this kind of throws everybody when I do this. Little float of asphaltum. This is going to give us that nice shadow. Et voila. Nice little shadow. Right over that Bahama blue. And you're going to do the mustache same way. That little float helps give that beard and mustache a bit more shape. Look at that. And then titanium white. Color I do not use often, but you could also use cool white. If you don't have titanium white, you can use cool white. Oh yes, she is. Absolutely she is. And it's such a relief. I'm so grateful she's okay. So, where is my, oh, goodness. Okay. So we're going to use a little bit of thinned titanium white to do the hair. I love this part. So at the top of this little curl, we're going to put a little stroke of titanium white. I love me some titanium white when it's giving me those little curls. And then a few strokes over top of that shading. Let that little thing, you know, come out past the edges of the hair so that you get those little wispies. And now we've got little wispies. Same thing on this side. I love the little wispies. Look at that. Little wispies.
How you do?
How am I doing? I'm doing. I like my little curlicues on that mustache. Gots to have that little curlicue on the mustache. And the same thing. Just a few strokes of titanium white to give that mustache that furry feeling. Big old handlebar mustache. And the same on our beard. Now I have the lines drawn on the beard so that you have an idea of of what direction they need to go in. But they don't have to be perfect. And when you get down here, you can let them come off the edge a little bit and overlap onto the shirt, so you get that sort of fuzzy look. It does not have to be perfect. But I do like that. It's got to have a little fluffy thing going. You know what I mean? So we have those buttons. Let's finish these buttons. You're going to pick up a little bit of that orange, and we're going to put a little float of that orange. Whoops. Too much water. Little float of that orange on the right side of each of those buttons. Just a little bit. Don't overthink it. You just want to add a little color to them, that's all. Look at. And you can do this with a pen or you can do it with a brush, but we just need a fine line down the center of the shirt. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then we're going to add a string, or in this case, a stroke of titanium white that goes from one button on one side to the other button on the other side. Now, I'm going to put a little shadow inside the mouth on these teeth right here. Little float of asphaltum just to darken them a little. And then I'm going to use a pen to do the final details for that. I'm going to use my black gel pen just to add those little lines to the mouth. Now, I found they look creepier when they have lots of little teeth and less so if they have big teeth. That's, I've just found in general. Now, if you want to, you can detail the hat, you can detail the teeth around the eyes, the hair, whatever with the black pen, if you want to. But again, you don't have to if you don't want to. If you prefer to do things with a brush. Now onto our sleeves here on the shirt. I'm going to give him a cuff link on both sleeves with a dip dot. And then a little highlight on the cuff link with another little dip dot. And then we're going to do those hands. And our nutcracker is almost done. Do a little highlight on the hat there and finish the boots. So for the hands, just like the face, we're going to float to the right with a float of asphaltum. Just like that. About a third of the way. It should, cover a good third of that hand. And then a nice little highlight with a float of warm white to the left. Like so. happen to think he's a pretty regal looking little guy. There. So our next thing is to add some details to the hands. I'm going to thin out a little bit of baby duck, like really thin it out, because I want this to come off this liner really smooth. So we're going to create a garland coming out of the hands. And I like curlicues. So there we have it. Whoops. And coming out of the hands on this side. So we have nice little lines. I like this very loose look. Now we're going to have a piece in the center there that comes to about the knees. So it's going to come down like this and come up to the hand. And honestly, if you try to draw this on, it's going to drive you crazy. Just, wing it. Quite honestly, winging it will give you the better results. So I have my little garland that goes from one hand to the other. And then I need a little detail at the top of the hat right here. Remember, our hat has a curve, so I'm going to bring a little highlight here to define that curve, and then a little one on the edge of the hat here. And that's all that's necessary. So we have nice hat, cute face, lots of great teeth. We've put in those fantabulous buttons. We're going to put a highlight on those buttons to keep them looking sparkly. A little stroke on the hands. We're going to use a little stroke on the boots. There we go. And I think we are ready for our final step into the background. I love this part because I have a thing for stars. And I'm not going to use a lot of them. I only wanted like 3 to 5. So I'm going to use a small stencil brush and some baby duck. And we're going to stencil our star on. And then I'm going to pick up a little bit of that gold flame. And add that to one side of the star. So it just instantly gives our star a really nice glow. And I'm going to move a smaller one over here. Now you can pick and choose how many of these you want to do. You don't have to do as many as I do, or you can do more. That's entirely up to you. I love that little punch of orange in things. I just think it makes for such pretty stars. But as I said, you can pick and choose how many you want to do. And if you want to put just a few little teeny tiny ones in, you do you, boo. Whatever you want. So I've got 4. It has to be an odd number, so I'm going to come down here and tuck one in right there. Firm believer, it's got to be an odd number. There we go. And a little bit of orange on one side. Ooh, oh no, it's too much orange. There we go. Okay, so we've got our stars in, got our snowflakes in. Our nutcracker is ready to go. So next, we're going to do these little guys. Like, how cute are these? They are so stinking cute. So I have 4 of them. When you get the kit, kit comes with your stand, the tag, and enough of these little guys. So we're going to paint our little gingers. Now, I like to take my chalk pencil and indicate where I'm going to put my icing, because I'm going to put a shadow in a couple of places. So there's my icing. A little bit on each arm. Doesn't have to be a straight line, or it can be. Depends if you want it that way. Depends on how you like your gingers. So there we go. So I'm going to take my 3/8 angled shader and a little bit of asphaltum, and I'm going to shade to the right side of that on the hands and underneath on the feet. Just a little float like so. Doesn't have to be neat and tidy, doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a little float of asphaltum on the underside. Oops. The base color for this little guy is honey brown, just like we used in the pants. And on the sleeves of our nutcracker. So this is just the little shadow for the icing. Neatness doesn't count. It's teeny tiny. Look at itty bitty. They're only a little over an inch tall. So I'm going to dry that. And then we're going to put a shadow on the right side of each of these little guys. And it's not a super strong shadow, so little float up the right side and the right side of the head on each of them. So right side of the head. These little guys are going to be so cute. I am, moderately obsessed with all things gingerbread. I love gingerbread cookies. And the creepier they are, the happier I am. One of my favorites, I have a little voodoo doll made out of a gingerbread. Made him out of a gingerbread cookie because I just think they're so stinking cute. So I'm going to then take a little bit of warm white. This is our highlight color for our cookie. And we're going to put just a weak float of warm white on the other side. Just like that. Doesn't have to be perfect, but this is just a light highlight. We just want to lightly change the value on either side. And don't overthink it. These little guys, you don't have to work hard to get this done, and they're going to look great regardless. So I've got Nice little highlights on both of these. Wouldn't they be cute for craft shows? I just got a bunch in different sizes. I love these. I just think so. I took a gingerbread man and I made him into a voodoo doll. Little voodoo doll pins, and then covered them with resin. What is the base color for the gingerbreads? Honey brown. Whoops. So yeah. So if you want to play a little bit with gingerbread shapes, you can make the cutest little pins for the holidays. I just love this little guy. I think he's so stinking cute. Makes a great little pin. And I just, instead of vernishing him, I just covered him with a little bit of resin. But yes, these little guys would make great little pins too. We give the kits away. We do have the kits for various pins, but yeah. We usually tuck them into orders and whatnot, so that's how we work it. Next, we're going to, and this is so fun, these little guys are going to get eyeballs. So we're going to use a little bit of black, and we're going to put 2 little dots like that. I'm using the end of a brush. You can use a stylus if you're more comfortable with a stylus. We're going to put eyeballs on. I take my time doing the eyeballs because I don't want them too close together. Otherwise they look really creepy. Their eyes are too close together. And you can do them in white, but I'll be honest, they look really creepy then. So once you have those eyeballs on, you're going to make 3 dots down the middle like that. These little guys are so fun. And those, oh, goodness. It's like a peanut butter sandwich. It always lands butter side down, right? 3. So I've got little gingerbreads. So I'm going to dry these guys. Like, how cute are these? Nutcracker ginger kits. Oh yes, we do have the surface set available. We haven't done kits yet. There we go. Now, I've got a tiny little liner brush, and I love doing this. There's 2 ways to do these tiny little hearts. You can do them as 2 little dots close together, and then pull a stroke from the bottom. But they need a little heart. So I do this little heart, and it's just teeny tiny little heart. Little country red liner brush to make the little heart. And as I said, they can go on either side, it doesn't matter. But I love the little heart. And now to finish them, we're going to use, on the eyeballs, we're going to put a tiny little dot of white to the upper left on the eyeballs. Tiny little dot of white. And then remember where we put that line, we're going to stroke in our frosting. Right on the edge of that little shadow. Remember that? and a little bit of hair. He's so tiny. So I like it when that frosting is nice and bright. If you don't like the hair, you don't have to do it. You can do however you like your gingerbread. So some people like the little strands of hair, which is my favorite, just 1 or 2 strokes. And some people like the little ring around the top of the head, and that's fine too, whatever you want. The icing can be like little scribbly lines, or it can just be a bar. It's however you like it. Love those little details. It's what makes these little guys. Now, the one detail that I absolutely love on these is you've got to have glitter. And so I'm going to put a coat, once these guys are completely dry, I'm going to put a coat. The size of the surface is 12 by 4 to 12 by 4.5. And these little ginger fellas are 1 1/4 inches. Actually, I think they're 1 1/8 inches. Well, when you buy the set, they come with it, so including the stand. Oops, I forgot the hair on this little guy. Joop, joop. Gingies. Okay. So there's something about putting dimension on things that just does it for me. And I love, you gotta have a little bit of sparkle, right? So I've got a little bit of Galaxy varnish. I love this stuff, this glitter varnish. I like that it doesn't have a ton of really big glitter in it, that it looks, it's quite a nice one. I'm going to use a filbert, and we're just going to lightly brush a coat of this on. Doesn't have to be neat and tidy. I just want to get a little bit of varnish on these guys with a little bit of glitter, not a ton. I think that's why I like it. The other one you could use is Starlight varnish. I love that one too. It has a finer glitter in it. Works just as well. Depends on how much glitter you like. So we've got a little bit of Starlight. I love this look. Just a little bit, enough just to put a little sparkle on it. That's all we really want. And then we're going to dry this. This is so fun. Agreed. Cindy, I really love this stuff because I can get a little bit of sparkle. If I want more, I just put more on. And it just gives you that little bit of sparkly goodness. Oh yeah, I'm always varnishing my fingers. Here we go. So we've got these adorable little gingers. Like, are they not the cutest? And I've got my favorite craft glue, and we're going to, yeah, he does prefer this one. Going to add a little dollop of glue to the back of each of these little gingers. And I'm going to place them on that little string of garland right there. I love this look. I just think it's so stinking cute. And then you just arrange your little gingers to hang on that garland. And because he is the gingerbread nutcracker, he has to have one. And I placed this one right in the center of that highlight on his hat. I just love it. I think he's so cute. So I'm going to give that a minute to dry. And we're going to spatter this a little bit. I love spatter. I think it needs it. You could add more glitter if you wanted to. There's any number of things you can do. Don't forget, before you varnish, to go around and erase all of your graphite lines. I'm going to grab my fugly brush and a little bit of warm white. And we're going to oh my goodness. I'm trying to, there. I'm trying to send Renee a message that it's almost wheel time. So here we go. So I'm thinning out a little bit of warm white or titanium white. And we're going to spatter generously on the background with a little bit of thinned titanium white or warm white. I love the spatter. I just think it adds something really nice to this. Here we go. Isn't he cute? I think he's so cute. And then I need something to finish the border on this. And I'm going to use a gold paint pen for this. So I'm using this one. This is one of my chrome markers. I love these. Gold paint pen. Now, I don't want a perfect, clean line, so I'm going to put a little bit right on the edge. I like coming onto the edge at the front just a little. I find that it finishes the front really nicely. Gives it a little bit of a border and finishes the edge beautifully. So before you varnish, before you spray it, go around, clean up any graphite lines that are still showing. Make sure everything is good and dry. And then hit it with 1 or 2 light coats of DecoArt matte spray. I love a little DecoArt matte spray. I find it seals things nicely. And then you're ready to varnish with your favorite varnish. So I've got a couple of spots here I want to just to pop out a little bit. We've got this lovely little chain that runs from button to button, but it's not showing up very well, so I'm going to put a little line of black below it. There we go. Now it's showing up. This is such a fun little piece to paint. So once it's completely dry, you can go at it with your favorite eraser. I've got this is my Factus Black. I'll go around and clean up any graphite lines that are still showing. I love that this cleans up so nicely, especially around the boots. And there we have it. I love this. Do I base coat the back of my pieces? Yes, if they're going to be gifted or sold or something like that, then yes, I absolutely finish at the backs. A lot of the samples that I do for classes don't ever get the back finished unless I decide to give them away. But yes, I prefer to have the back of my pieces painted. They can be done in black or dark blue or whatever. I like them finished that way. So there we go. He is such fun to paint. Such fun to paint. And I love the addition of these little dimensional fellows. I just find it just finishes him really, really well. Hello. Hi, Miss Maze. Maze came for a visit. Hi. Somebody's happy this morning. She's very happy. So I'm going to clean up my palette. Renee is going to load up that wheel. Yes, that was May's. They're fun to paint. They're not difficult, but fun to paint. And they look great when they're all varnished.
He's got a tood.
Yeah, that goes without saying.
The dog breed?
What's the dog breed? Deborah, she's a Belgian Malinois. Maze.
Switch the cameras.
Here we go. I love this. I think he turned out so cute. Nutcracker, arms crossed. I love doing these. They're just such fun to paint.
That's
And
amazing.
that's a Maze, yep. Hi, Maze. Up, a dog. Hi. She didn't want down, apparently.
She was quite happy up there. Don't move it down.
That's our girl. Hi, baby. She is beautiful. She's a brat. Hey, get out of there. Her ball went underneath the cabinet
They
again.
want to see the other two nutcrackers.
The other one is not finished, so the one for next Saturday is not finished. I don't show it until it's ready. 3 Wise Men Nutcrackers. Ooh.
Hi.
Creative bunch. Great ideas. She wants camera time, yeah.
Your face is still wet.
What was she doing? Oh, never mind. How much water did she leave in the garage?
Quite a bit.
Quite a bit. I'm not surprised.
Is there a ball under there?
Yeah. And she's determined to get it. Can you see last week's? Absolutely. Last week's.
Still taking part.
Last week's was snowflakes. There we go. Father Time, that would be a good one too. Frankenstein Nutcracker.
A Halloween nutcracker?
I have one. I have a witch.
That would be a nutcracker. What would it be?
She wants to paint too. Oh, goodness. All right. Renee's got the wheel loaded. Holy smoke.
Yep.
It's loaded. So, if your name comes up on the wheel, make sure that you pop over to the website at tracymoreau.net and click on the little speech bubble in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send us a message with your shipping information, please, so we can get it out to you as soon as possible. We hang on to any of the giveaways for up to 2 weeks. After that, it goes back in the bin. So make sure you send us your shipping information so we can get it out to you. How do they stand? Henrietta, we've got a nifty little stand that is attached to the back of them. It comes with the kit or with the set. So when you buy the surface, you get the little stand with it. So they just stand up quite nicely.
Move your butt.
They are a nifty little surface, and I do love my little nutcracker.
What one are you doing next week?
We are doing Stars and Nutcrackers next week.
Space Force.
Space Force. Oh my goodness. I have the most adorable witch. Like I said, I wanted to do it started out with one. Now I've got 3 and probably a couple more. Because, I'm obsessive that way. Yeah, shark fin stand. That's a really good description.
Yeah.
Works really well. Yep.
Ready for the first name?
I am.
First name.
Bonnie Clock.
She hasn't won in a while.
No. Do I keep mine out all year? No, I don't. We have too many of them. We have one that stays out all the time, and that's our chimney sweep.
Is that the one she attacked when she was a puppy?
No.
No?
No, the one she attacked is the 3-footer that stands.
She didn't like that.
No, it scared her.
Just like the lamps.
Yep. We have a big, tough Belgian Malinois that's afraid of the lamp.
Well, it jumped out and attacked her when she
Apparently, yeah.
was young. Yay! Bunny Clock on Facebook.
Woohoo! You're welcome. We'll have a kit. You can't print it?
I want all 3 patterns.
Oh yeah, the kit will have the printed patterns in them. In the kit, not the set. Okay, spinner again.
Whoop. Hey, I swear you put it under there on purpose.
I think she does. Rosanna Merrill. So he says. Hey, Nance. Sweetheart, it's been a week.
Rosanna Merrill.
She must be on Facebook, too.
Who's that?
Rosanna. I don't see her on here. And we have one more.
Uno.
Uno más. What? We'll get it. Don't worry. Okay,
Not
let her
fast
rip.
enough, apparently.
Apparently, yeah.
One more.
Phyllis Griffey.
Hey.
It's been a while since Phyllis has won something. So Rosanna, Phyllis, and Bonnie, congratulations. You are our winners this week. Don't forget, hop over to the website, click on that little speech bubble, and send us your shipping information, please, so we can get your goodies out to you as soon as possible. Join us again next Saturday. We're going to finish off this 3 Nutcracker series with the stars and Nutcrackers. I think you're going to really like this one. I think it's quite pretty. So we will see you next Saturday, same time, same bat channel. Come and join us. We love having you and love painting with you guys. So everybody have a great weekend. If you are in the neighborhood of any of these fires, please stay safe and look after yourselves. Mwah. We love ya. Stay safe. There she wants. There. Hi, baby. What do you want? What do you want? Okay, guys. Have a great weekend. And pet your dog.
See ya. We forgot.